In this corner, we have the pursuer. And in this corner, the distancer.
Welcome back to the Secure Husband Podcast. Bruce Abbott, founder of SecureHusband.com and certified professional coach. Have you ever heard of the pursuer-distancer dynamic? It's loosely tied to the concept of the anxious or preoccupied attachment husband and the avoidant attachment wife. One is always trying, doing all the work, while the other one is back off, give me space, and thus the pursuer and the distancer. It's another way of looking at why your marriage feels one-sided, because you're probably always the one who initiates the conversation, the talk. You're always the one who's reaching out for connection. You're the one who has suggested couples counseling. You're the one that is planning date nights. You're the one who suggests affection. You're the one who brings up issues in the marriage, often met with silence or withdrawal. And we talked about this in a previous podcast about why your marriage feels one-sided. Here's an example. Why am I doing all the work to hold us together? And I feel you. I'm talking to you with love. You are not alone. What you're experiencing is actually more common than you think. There's a lot of information out there about the pursuer-distancer dynamic. And it's not just the husband pursuing the wife. It's very common in marriages where a preoccupied or anxious attachment wife is pursuing a very distant and avoidant husband. But the dynamic looks different when it's the husband pursuing the wife. So let's unpack this. Your pursuer-distancer dynamic is the pursuer craves connection, craves emotional intimacy. The other partner, the distancer, pulls away, avoids, shuts down in response to that emotional pressure. So you want conversation, you want affection, you want closeness, you want emotional truth. She wants distance, she wants that space, she wants control, she does not want to feel emotionally overwhelmed. And at the core of this, you think, if I stop trying, I will get nothing. And she's thinking, if he keeps pushing, I'm going to shut down completely. So you chase, she withdraws, you try harder, she retreats further. We talked about that with the anxious attachment and avoidant attachment. It's a loop. Feels exactly like rejection, and it builds an incredible amount of resentment. So let's go through the Secure Husband process. Let's start by noticing. Notice this pattern. Just bring awareness to it without judgment, no blame, no shame. Just take a deep breath and ask yourself, am I always the one bringing things up? And do I feel rejected or panicked when she gets quiet or withdraws? And be aware of that. Do you start managing her mood to avoid the shutdown? You find yourself keeping the peace just to avoid triggering her. You feel more like a roommate, an emotional caretaker, than a partner. And guys, we try this all the time. We try to constantly reconnect with our wife because we hear they want connection. But like we talked about in a previous podcast about communicating our needs, it's not the need for connection. It's the energy we bring with it. It's the tone of voice. It's the way we approach it. So if you're trying to reconnect with your wife, and then when she goes quiet, because she still has emotional trust issues with you, then you start saying things like, are we okay? Is something wrong? Did I say something? And she starts off by saying like, I'm just tired, or no, nothing's wrong. Of course, her body language is screaming something otherwise. She's totally checked out. You sense it. You're triggered. You can feel it. She feels you getting more anxious. You kick it up a notch and try harder. She's now really triggered, and so she's retreating, and you're back to roommates. One who's completely annoyed by your sheer existence. It's a loop. You're not doing anything wrong by communicating your needs. You're just leading from anxiety and not security. That's why we talk about choosing to stop chasing and start grounding yourself. It's that choice to act. I know I would panic. I would think, if I stop pursuing, I will never get this again. I will never have it. She will never come toward me. But our pursuit is often keeping the dysfunctional cycle alive because we think we're loving or supporting, but it really feels like pressure and emotional intensity, maybe even guilt to her and her nervous system. So you try to fix the disconnection, she distances to avoid it. What breaks the cycle isn't more effort, it's emotional grounding. Now, you don't shut down, you don't withdraw, you don't get quiet, you don't get cold, you don't punish her with silence. That is not breaking the cycle. That's not how you lead yourself first. So what could be a different way to approach it? Okay, let's say every time your wife gets distant, you're like, are we okay? There's a point right there I want to make too. Oftentimes, it's not, are you okay? It's, are we okay? Because that's what you're really asking. You're not really truly asking, how are you doing from an empathetic overflow of love? You are thinking, how are we doing from a self-preservation protective way? So when you say, are we okay? You might change that. Hey, babe, I can tell you're kind of quiet. Just, I respect that. Hey, if you need to talk or anything, I'm here when you're ready. And then he can walk away calmly. He's not walking away butthurt and withdrawing or shut down. He'll go and do something for himself. But his last communication there was one of empathy and truth and honesty. Now, the first few times, she may not respond to something like this, but over time, she may start coming back because you're not pressuring her. You're not giving her this emotional work she has to manage. Now she's got space. She has safety. She's got a man right here who's not oozing anxiety all over the relationship. He's just simply saying, hey, babe, if you need something, I'm here for you. With calm and peace and clarity. That's leadership. But you have to understand that fine line between stopping chasing and withdrawing. And go back to that earlier podcast episode if you need to. I talk a lot about the difference between those two. Because that's healing. That's healing for that little boy inside of you. Because remember, he learned if I don't chase love, I don't get anything at all. So that's why he keeps pursuing, especially emotionally unavailable people. Because remember, when your wife distances and pulls away, that's not just silence, it's a trigger. That hits those childhood moments where as a little boy you felt unwanted and invisible and dismissed and punished for having your needs. That little boy needs you, not her, to step in and say, you are wanted, you are safe, you don't have to beg for love. I've got you now. You are loved, you are worthy. You connect with your higher power, God, the universe. That source of unconditional love and inherent worth, that divine truth that says, yeah, you are wanted, you are loved, you are worth affection and connection. That's how I created you. See, until that happens, you're going to keep using your marriage to relive your childhood wound and hope for a different outcome. And that's never going to work. Because her distance isn't necessarily always about you, but you will believe that. That's hard to believe when you're in pain. And there's many wives who go silent or cold or withdrawn, and they're not trying to punish you, but they are protecting themselves. And sometimes we're not really sure why, but their nervous system has kicked in. And it may be something that's completely unknown to them, because you always have two wounded people in a situation like this. So her wounds may be telling her, hey, he wants more than I know how to give. And her shutdown may just be, I feel suffocated. Or if I say something, I'm just going to make it worse. I can't process all of this. He's just talking too much. I can't deal with it. I can't process all of this. I don't even know what I feel. Those are the things that are going on in her mind as protection, especially if she's avoidant attachment, because emotional closeness often felt like losing control because that's what she experienced as a child. So closeness is not gaining connection to her. Closeness was just overwhelming because that's what she dealt with. So she retreats. Doesn't make it okay. Doesn't mean it's something that you have to tolerate in your marriage. I'm just saying it explains the reaction from her perspective. And maybe now that you understand that, you can stop taking it quite as personally. You just shift that focus back to leading yourself powerfully. But again, this is not about her. This is about you. This is about creating connection without chasing. So when it comes time to act, you do it differently. You stop trying to get her to talk. You stop walking on eggshells. You stop measuring your value by her openness and you start holding your boundaries. You start expressing your needs clearly and without pressure. We talked about that in the last podcast. If she stonewalls, you don't have to retreat in anger. You can stay calm and soothed and peaceful inside. You take responsibility for your emotional state no matter what's going on around you. And then you can clearly communicate your needs because you're not avoiding your needs. You're not sweeping them under a rug, but you are now more emotionally stable to communicate those needs. So you can say, hey, babe, I want us to feel close. I'm here when you're ready to talk, but I'm also not going to keep guessing or pushing. I love you. I want to be connected with you. And in the meantime, I'm going to choose peace. That's not detachment or withdrawing. That's leadership. It creates connection by removing the pressure and the manipulation and the secret unspoken rules because we are uncomfortable speaking our needs. And we become a man who doesn't need response to feel worthy. So instead of asking, okay, why won't she come closer? Start asking, how can I be at peace even when she doesn't? Are you accepting no affection in your marriage? No. We're talking about this moment, this little point in time at this very second. How can I be at peace right now? And in this moment, this micro moment, we stop tying our identity to how often she talks or how she reacts or whether she reaches out or not. We just lead with calm. We don't collapse. We offer love. We don't beg for it. We're creating our own connection to ourselves. We're building our own peace. Because when we can build that connection to ourselves, remember, we have been abandoning ourselves. We've abandoned that little boy since he was a child because we didn't know how to handle those emotions. So over time, we can break the cycle. Sometimes she moves towards you. Sometimes she doesn't. But either way, you're no longer the anxious little boy hoping to be chosen. Because a one-sided marriage isn't always about one person doing more. It's a system that reinforces fear in both people. If you can get to a point where you don't need to chase her anymore or need to fix her silence or need to control her emotional state, and you just ground yourself and stop reacting and lead calmly and build a life and identity rooted in your own secure worth, that's going to break the cycle. And that helps you step out of this pursuer-distancer pattern. Because you're not too much, you're just ready for a new way of relating. And that may bring that emotional safety and trust, and she'll meet you halfway. And if she doesn't, you have become a secure husband who might have to make some tough decisions to get his needs met. I hope this podcast has been helpful for you. Hey, give me a review. I'd appreciate that. Hit that subscribe button for more Secure Husband episodes. Share this episode with someone who you think may need to hear this. Visit securehusband.com for more resources and to book one-on-one coaching. I'll see you again on the next Secure Husband podcast. Hey, thanks for listening.